Hey everybody, welcome to the last session of the fourth day of Virtual Open House. I am so happy that you are joining us now or in the future when you come back and watch this, a week from now. If you're just seeing it, welcome. We're happy that you're here with us. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get into the WellStar College of Health and Human Services is at the top of the screen of the chat, there is a link. And that link is going to take you to a raffle giveaway entry form. We want you, if you're participating in this session, watching this session, to fill out the raffle giveaway entry form. Anytime you watch a session for Virtual Open House, you should fill out that giveaway form. What are you going to win if you're selected at random, I should say, is this really cool canvas bag full of awesome goodies. So there's so many, it's like Mary Poppins. If you're old like me, there's Mary Poppins stuff. Or I guess actually they redid that movie, so yeah. The first one was better. Okay, so Mary Poppins bag, you just reach your arm and it just goes forever, and there's all sorts of really cool things in here. So the only way you're gonna know what is in here is if you win it. And then later on in that week, next week, when we tell you all the things that were in it, if you don't win. But we're gonna announce the winner on Monday, October the 26th. So you don't have to wait that long. We're only 4 days away from the winner being revealed. I have looked at the entries. Impressive. There are students out there watching all of these sessions. Like, they're coming on Facebook, they're going on YouTube, they're chatting with us about all sorts of different things. So I'm really excited for what they're going to ask us here for WellStar. But they're filling out the entry form. So do that. Make sure you fill it out. Okay. While we're going through the presentation today, pop your questions in the chat. If you hear something that's interesting, you hear something you want to know more about, pop your question in the chat there on Facebook or on YouTube. We're going to answer your questions in the chat, but we're also going to answer them live. So make sure you're doing that. Doesn't matter what time during the presentation, throw it in there and we're going to make sure we get to them. My name is Jordan Stevenson. I'm the Director of Student Recruitment. I work in undergraduate admissions. And I have some fantastic guests with me today from the WellStar College of Health and Human Services. My very good friend, Brittany, I'm going to let her introduce herself. But as I found out, as this person was introduced to me, the amazing Laurie is here with us today. You should all be overjoyed with how blessed you are that Laurie is here with us. So I'm going to let you all talk a little bit more about yourselves, and then we're going to get into talking about WellStar.
Okay, guys. Well, my name is Laurie. I'm currently a junior at Kennesaw State University, obviously. I'm also Senator of WellStar, which is my first time being a part of SGA, so
That's
it's
awesome.
actually been really exciting. I've been able to meet with the dean and everything. It's amazing. But I'm also a nursing major, and I was accepted into the nursing program right when COVID started, sadly. So about the end of spring, and so far it has been amazing. It has been trying. It has definitely pushed me to my limits and has showed me a lot. And I'm definitely I've built a lot of confidence, I can definitely say. I'm definitely the first in my family to be in a medical field in general. So I'm learning as I go, and it's amazing. Yeah, as I said, I'm a junior, and that's pretty much all I can think of. Oh, also, sorry, I'm also a former track runner as well. I was actually a jumper. I've been running track since, I want to say, probably freshman year of high school. So I've been pretty dedicated. I did stop just because of my own personal reasons. But yeah, I've had a great experience with Kennesaw's track team, a great experience just in track in general. It's definitely, you have to learn a lot of self-discipline being within a sport as well as being in college, but it is definitely something that is possible for anyone, and it's been amazing being at KSU in general. So yeah,
nice.
That's pretty much it.
Hence why we call her the amazing.
I got it.
Laurie,
Now I know.
But she has represented our college very well, so I'm just honored to present with you today.
Yay.
And I just wanted to also have her here so that you guys can see it's possible, right? The vast majority of students who we talk to on the front end, whether you're prospective or it's your first semester of your freshman year and you're trying to get to where Laurie is getting to, you can do it. So just make sure that you come and talk to us about what that looks like, and any questions and concerns that you may have. We're here to help with that. So my name is Brittany Jones. I am actually the director of the WellStar College Advising Center. And so we help out with, of course suggestions for you. We make sure that you are progressing and that you are graduating on time. We also give you a wealth of resources and just help to cheer you on along this journey of academia. So I'm just excited to be here. Thank you, Jordan, for having us.
Of course.
Excited to go over some information with you
today.
My
pleasure. And speaking of going over some information, I'm glad you said that, Brittany. Yeah, lots of information. That's right. Let's talk about big picture about WellStar College, overview of the programs, size of the programs, concentrations, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I prepared a presentation for you all, so I'll kind of get started with that. We have 4 different departments and we offer 6 different majors, and so we'll talk a little bit about those specific departments and majors as well as which particular programs we offer. So first things first, we have the social work and the human services department. They actually house our human services undergraduate program, and then we have an MSW program as well. The Department of Exercise Science and Sport Management is next, and that's probably our 2nd largest degree program that we have at KSU for the WellStar College. Next is going to be Health Promotion and Physical Education. Those programs are amazing, and we are probably most excited right now about the fact that we have a brand new major that we are offering called Integrated Health Sciences. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And the WellStar College, I'm pretty sure none of you will want to know anything about nursing, so I kind of included that last. But no, we get the most requests, the most questions around nursing, so we'll kind of go over that information with you as well.
Awesome.
With social work and human services, I just wanted to highlight some of the programs that are offered. One major thing to keep in mind is, some students, they'll call and they'll ask us, well, what exactly is human services? It's probably most comparable to what you would see at other schools for a social work bachelor's program. But the cool thing about it is they have 2 different concentrations. So if you're a student who may want to look at going into more case management work, maybe working for Child and Family Services, you'll want to choose the social engagement and advocacy route for a concentration. If you're thinking about more nonprofit, maybe fundraising or grant writing, then absolutely you're going to want to do the nonprofit route. And then also we do offer a master's in social work. I included the prerequisites that are necessary to get into the program. The reason why I wanted to create these slides and have them available for you to see is just because most of the programs that we offer at WellStar are gated. And so and a lot of students ask, what does that mean? What is a gated program? So gated basically means there's some sort of prerequisite requirement or list of classes that you have to take prior to being able to get into these programs. So all except for the newest program, which is Integrated Health Sciences, all of those programs that we offer absolutely have some sort of gate requirement to them. So these are the requirements here. Once you meet those requirements and you make sure that you have a lot of GPA, then you are absolutely allowed to get into the program upon application. Here are some of the careers that we see most frequently with students who are actually pursuing a human services or the Master's in Social Work program. Everything from case management, as a caseworker, to actually counseling. So a lot of times too, what you'll want to talk with us about is, does this particular major require that I have a graduate degree? If that is the case, then yes, we're going to absolutely recommend that. So, for counseling backgrounds, a lot of those will require a graduate program, as well as, being a caseworker. Most of the jobs that you're seeing in the marketplace will absolutely require that you have a master's in social work.
Brittany, can I throw in one more job that you could potentially have? So I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say probably your biggest cheerleader is Garrett Campbell. And he works in undergraduate admissions, and he has, since he graduated from KSU, Garrett Campbell, human services degree, biggest cheerleader. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, maybe I want to do something cool like what these people are doing here on camera and work in higher ed. You could do human services, be just like Garrett. He's an incredible individual, and come work with us at KSU.
Absolutely. Yeah, and our social work as well as our human services program are continually growing. So it's a great time to be part of KSU, especially in the department. Next, we're going to talk about exercise science and sport management. Like I mentioned earlier, that's our second largest department. And with that, we offer sport management, which is more of a business-based program. So a lot of times we get questions from students and they're like, oh, is this, what I need to do if I want to go into physical training or, personal training or something like that? And I'm like, well, you could if you want more of a business background, but you're going to take those accounting classes. You may take business law. You may take economics. So you'll have more so of the foundational information that you need to be, to have that business savvy, alongside of classes that are absolutely related to all things sports. So a lot of our student athletes, they love this program because it's right in line with what they're wanting to do, whether it's kind of work their way up and get into the front office, or if they want to work in finance, or they want to work in work as a scout, or work as a coach. There are so many different opportunities that yield from the program. Exercise science is definitely a popular one as well. It's a large program mainly because our students decide to go to physical therapy, physician's assistant school. So there are a variety of different ways or career paths that you can go into with that particular program. In terms of exercise science and sport management, both of them, like I said, have gated, like there is a requirement to get into the program, right? So with sport management, the main thing to keep in mind is you need at least a 2.5, and you have to complete the Sport Management 2100 course to be eligible to get into that program. There is no application, however, for students who want to get in. Those are the two requirements that you need to make sure you keep it in mind. Exercise science is a little bit more rigorous, right? You're going to take some human anatomy and physiology classes. You may take some chemistries, some biologies. You want to make sure that you have your Englishes, English 1101 and 1102 done, because those are absolutely required to get into the program, as well as a class that's called Physical Activity and Health and Disease, and you need to have a B average in those courses. And the main reason why that's a requirement for this particular program is just because most of our students are wanting to go into a graduate program, and that requires really great grades, but also heavy sciences, right? So if you want to be a physical therapist, you want to go to physician's assistant school, you're thinking about maybe occupational therapy as well, we want to make sure that we're doing really well in those areas. We also have a Master's of Science in Applied Sciences. For the, these are the prerequisites. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. And these are just some of the careers that you actually can go into with the major. We talked about that before as well. All right, so with health promotion and physical education, for our college, it's interesting because some of the students who may want to be physical educators within the school system, they actually will go more so through the Backwell College of Education to kind of talk about what those specific requirements are, just because things like the GACE exam are going to be required for you to be able to become an actual PE teacher here. In terms of the public health education program, that program is absolutely continuing to grow and spread like wildfire, just like the career fields that it yields. So it's very broad. What you want to keep in mind with this one is, let's say if you're thinking about, maybe I want to go work for the CDC, or I'm really interested in what's going on right now. You know, we've got COVID. There's so much research that needs to be done from a clinical side, or more so for educating those in the public for what we need to make sure we have, like masks and things like that. Right. That's all public health education related. So that program is growing, but also our integrated health science program is growing. I enjoy talking to students about this program, and I think for some students it's a common misconception that it's kind of a fallback program, which in actuality it's not. I mean, yes, we can house some students who, you know, if they didn't maybe get into the nursing program, they're thinking, well, I want to still be a part of something related to healthcare, but maybe they don't want it to be in a clinical sense, right? You absolutely have a great opportunity to fall into integrative health sciences. But more so for those students who may want to be in healthcare management, you know, administrative roles, absolutely, there's a wealth of opportunity within that field. And so integrated health sciences is amazing.
Cool.
For the public health education and integrated health sciences careers, listed some of those on there for you. A common thing that I like to talk to my students about is the importance of talking to a career and internship advisor, Just basically because when you have majors like integrated health science, or you have a public health education, or maybe a sport management, maybe you're not quite sure as to what you want to do. So once you figure out, what classes you're interested in and what you like about the major, it's also helpful to kind of see, okay, what all can I do with this? And that's where those internships may come into play, or that's where, you can go do some job shadowing and find out what will be best for you. And last but not least, the WellStar School of Nursing, which nobody wants to know about. Right. This is probably the most, like I said before, you get a lot of questions about it. It is a competitive program. So by that I mean not everyone that applies the first time around gets in. There are a lot of students who may consider applying to multiple schools. However, the reason why they tend to stick here and wait for the opportunity to be able to get into our program is just because it's just that amazing. With an NCLEX rate of over 90%, you are very well prepared, and I'm sure Laurie can attest to that as well. Yes. From lab simulations to the wealth of information and years of experience that the faculty have in the WellStar School of Nursing, it is amazing. So we have 2 tracks, and so that's one thing that I definitely wanted to highlight with you all. First track is the traditional track. Most students go that route, and that is for students who do not have a bachelor's degree as of yet. Accelerated track is actually for students who already have obtained a bachelor's degree. Either you can have a bachelor's degree here at KSU, or maybe you had a bachelor's degree from some other institution. You may even have a master's degree at some other institution. I've seen that a few times too. Right. But basically you have to already have a degree to be able to go the accelerated route. And of course, you'll be able to get in, or finish the program, I should say, much sooner.
Mm-hmm. Can I jump in and say something? It's always interesting to me. I know that, let me say it this way, nursing is such a calling. And I recognize that. I've grown up with a nurse as a mother for my entire life. And she was in nursing school when I was a little kid. And it's really, when you talk to nurses that are out there in the field, you hear about how it was always a calling in their life. But I find it interesting, we hear about it a lot in admissions. People go out there and you do some other bachelor's degree, and maybe it's business, maybe it's education, maybe it's something totally different. And that calling creeps up, and they figure out, I'm not doing what I really should be doing or what I really wanted to be doing. That was actually nursing, and they come back for that program. And it's always, they have such meaningful stories. And I'm so thankful that we have that accelerated nursing program, because you hear about it we hear about it in admissions so often, that they're coming back because they should have done nursing all along, something else made them do whatever, and now they're back to do what they were really called to do.
Absolutely. I will piggyback off of that. It does take a very special individual, because nursing is all about caretaking. It is a very selfless, career. And I always am constantly talking to my students about taking care of themselves. Like, you have to take care of yourself, because you're, so used to caring for others. And so I enjoy this population. I think they're a great group of students, hardworking, and definitely we need that right now.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. I was gonna say, if I can say something, I can definitely attest to what you guys are both saying. So I initially wanted to be a cosmetologist. I don't know where yeah, this is totally off. I did one girl's head, and it was just like, okay, this is not for me. Like, my patience, I could not do it. Like, cause I can do my own hair, but it's just like, when you actually, that's the thing, like, you have to often put yourself in that position and see how you will perform and if you will truly like it. I feel like with nursing, I still wasn't quite able to do that because of me transitioning so late. But it's still like, I just knew, I think it was like the birth of my brother. It was just like, as soon as I saw him as a baby, it's something about babies, and it's something about, like, I'm just the weirdest child. I like going to the hospital. If we spend a night at the hospital, that is the best night ever. It's just something about the smell. I don't know. Sometimes, so like you were saying, it
you
creeps up.
might be called to nursing.
It just creeps up on you. It's weird. Like, I love when someone's in the hospital and we go visit. It's like we're going to a totally different state. It's amazing. So that's why I was just like, sometimes it is like that, and sometimes it takes time, because I know a lot of students come in and sometimes they're undeclared, and that's okay. But I feel like after a while, like you said, it comes, and you kind of see and you start really reevaluating, kind of analyzing yourself and what you truly like. And that's the great thing about being in college. It kind of gives you that opportunity to really, dig deeper into yourself and see what you truly want to be. And that's the great thing about it. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. Well said.
All right, so with nursing, the program itself, well, actually the department itself, or the amount of students that we have and that we house are over 4,000. And so out of 4,000 for, the WellStar College. So over 4,000 for a WellStar College, but for the School of Nursing, it takes up almost 2,500. So as you can imagine, yeah, that's quite a few students, and it makes up the bulk of our population here. Out of the nursing classes that you'll take, I wanted to add some prerequisites here and look at the admissions requirements. And so students have, and this can be a bit confusing, so the reason why I wanted to include this slide for sure is because we get a lot of questions even after students look at the website. They're like, okay, wait, what?
Yeah, right.
So,
well, because it's a big deal, right?
It's a huge deal. This is the only competitive program that we have.
Right. So you look and you say, I've got to ask these questions.
Yes.
So now's the time to put those questions in the chat, but Brittany's going to go over the nitty gritty.
Yes, so there are 12 prerequisites that are necessary to be admitted into the nursing program. And so for those students who are aspiring to be in the nursing program, one thing, especially for my students who are still in high school, for those who are considering taking like AP classes or dual enrollment, yes, do it. It's amazing. Save some money, save some time. However, don't wait so long to start your lab sciences, because we see it from time to time where students may transfer in, or maybe they come in as a incoming maybe freshman or even sophomore with the number of credits that they have, and they haven't taken one science, but they've got all of their general education classes done. You don't want to get to that point, because then you won't have very much to take, since you can't take the lab sciences at once. And that also goes for the exercise science program as well. But one thing to keep in mind is there are 5 lab sciences. 2 social sciences, 2 maths, 2 Englishes. So one thing to make sure that you're doing is looking at these prerequisites, taking them, if you can, in advance as options for your AP or your dual enrollment classes, and not only taking those social sciences and such. You want to try to start with your chemistries for sure. But with the 12 prerequisites, you want to make sure that we're getting the high grades as well, because when you come in, the nursing department is going to look at how well you performed in these classes. And it's of utmost importance, because that's what they're looking at in terms of the application for getting into the program. 12 prerequisites total. When it's time to apply to the program, you need to make sure that you have at least 7 out of those prerequisites done. And out of those 7, this is the complicated part, 5 of them need to be maths and sciences. So hence why I've kind of shared with you how important
you have to be good at math and science.
Absolutely.
To figure out the 5 out of the 7. I'm just teasing.
So yes, 5 out of those 7, make sure you have 7 prerequisites done. GPA 3.0 minimally. However, we all know that minimally for a competitive program is not what you need to be shooting for. As high as you can, possibly to that 4.0 mark, the better. And then last but not least is, every nursing program will have some sort of an entrance exam. So for KSU, we require the TEAS exam, and you have to make sure that you're earning a score of a 78 or higher. So these are the prerequisites that are just listed before. And one thing that I like to also touch base with students about is that you only get 2 attempts with these. So that's another reason why these classes are of utmost importance, because you're limited as to how many times you can take them. In terms of careers in nursing, I think a lot of times students are like, well, a nurse is a nurse, right? But who knew? There's so many different types of nursing. You can kind of talk about that too, with what you want to do.
I was going to say, I'm actually trying to be a neonatal nurse, which is why the birth of my brother was so, some sentimental for me, I guess. And I know I can definitely say that being in the nursing program, there are a lot of students that typically shoot for neonatal, and I've heard that it's been kind of difficult getting into the NICU. But you have your students that also want to be in ER and things like that. It's just, for me, I kind of just wanted to kind of stay with babies, and they say it's definitely something that you have to be really bred for that, because it's a lot of things that you have to endure with being a nurse in general. But being a neonatal nurse, you're seeing a lot of innocent children in a lot of predicaments, and it's not, it's different, and it's a lot of things that you have to take on. But I definitely say the biggest thing with me making my decision on what nurse I wanted to be was me just educating myself. Everything that you do in going into college, you have to educate yourself to make sure that you make the right decisions. Because like Brittany said, you just don't want to take the wrong path and end up here another year. Like it can definitely happen. So you just want to definitely stay on track. And then as you do that, everything begins to unfold and it becomes, something amazing. So yeah, I'll definitely say that.
So you have a variety of different options. You don't solely have to work as an ER nurse. We have had traveling nurses, neonatal nurses, labor and delivery. It's so many different areas. And so the nice thing about the program is once you're in, your classes will give you some experience in each one of these areas. So even if you get accepted into the program and you really have no earthly idea as to what type of nurse you want to be, you've got options and you have time to decide. One thing that is amazing about our college is the vast majority of the programs that we offer have required internships. With human services in particular, there are 2 required internships, a foundational one and the one that's at the very end of your program, your advanced internship. Public health education has internships. But even for those programs that don't necessarily require an internship, there's space in your, let's say, major field electives for if you decided to, find an internship on your own or you wanted to work with your career and internship advisor on gaining one so you can get more experience. Absolutely, that's an option and there's space for that there. So these are just some of the partnerships that we've created, different organizations that we have. And this is a very short list amongst the many, many, many that are there and available for students. So the nice thing is not only will you learn about, what you'll be doing in these classes, but you'll also have several opportunities to gain that experience to add to your resume. And we highly suggest it, even if it's not a requirement, definitely look into it. With our office too, I think it's it's hard. Some students are thinking, well, I have these really, really rigorous classes and I just really don't have time to maybe study abroad. But one thing that's a pleasant surprise is you have free electives for most of these programs. You have general education classes, so talk to your advisor about a way to maybe study abroad for the summer and get some experience that is outside of what you're used to. Clearly right now, traveling's a little bit hard, but in most semesters, we're able to help our students not only gain internships or study abroad opportunities, but also help with funding for those students and find scholarships to help them to get out there. Lastly, I just wanted to include our contact information for anyone who has questions or concerns or just random things that they want to share with us. Feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to help and answer any questions.
Yeah, definitely check out the WellStar website because it is a treasure trove of information. It goes really deep. So if you have questions about WellStar and all of the different degree programs, go dig through the website, spend a little time, get to know the website, and that'll definitely help you out. Laurie, I want to ask you some questions about your student experience here at KSU, but particularly within the WellStar College. So how has WellStar supported you as a student? What are some of the things that you found really helpful in your time here at KSU?
I can definitely say the biggest asset as far as being a student within WellStar, number one, is your professor. I took chemistry, it
sounds so simple.
It sounds, but I'm telling you, like, a lot of people don't have the guts to speak to their professor. When you're in nursing, the odds are you're gonna be in a class with over 100 people. I've been in a big class, but it's just like a lot of people feel intimidated by their professor, but a lot of times it's often those professors that give you those resources or they offer that time, but people don't take advantage of it. And then after that is no excuses. So it's just like I've had a professor before where she would actually do an hour after class and you would sit there, and the point was to let her know and get your face known. And I feel like that's what a lot of parents like tell students. Make your face known to professors. Let them know that you are putting an effort out. And I feel like that is the biggest thing, and they can help you because they're creating the test, or at least they know what they're teaching. So I feel like, of course, they're the biggest asset, but Outside of that, we also have SIs, and I feel like that is a great resource because a lot of times, basically, they're student assistants, or not student assistants, they're student instructors, and they sit in your class and they see exactly what you're being taught, and then they basically literally an hour after you get dismissed from that class, you go to another classroom, and they simplify everything. And it makes it so much easier because a lot of times people learn in different ways, and with the professor, they're teaching to a variety of people. They can't break it down in a sense that it fits every person perfectly. So, you know, you have to kind of work with it, and you have to see what works best for you. And I feel like having that one-on-one time with a SI within a smaller class, it allows that to happen. I would definitely say outside of that, still staying within WellStar, I would say our advisors. I definitely say our advisors.
Nice.
Our advisors.
Check in the mail.
Yeah. Our advisors are amazing. They're definitely extremely helpful. Like I said, I was an athlete. I came in and we had advisors. You have athletic advisors and then you also have academic advisors. I can say that my academic advisors guided me completely. Like a lot of times a lot of people feel like athletes have like the upper hand, but I definitely feel like you still have the same resources, but it's just like no one can really help you as much as your academic advisor. Like they're in the college, they know exactly what you need to do, and especially with nursing, with it being so common, they've been through this. They've seen a lot of students that feel the way you feel. They, you know, and they're definitely receptive to anything that you have to say, and they're able to speak with you, calm you down when you have moments because it happens. So I definitely feel like advisors are definitely essential, and just creating a group of friends to be able to study. That is definitely something that is definitely, because a lot of times you're in a class, you don't speak to a single person because you don't know them. But it's just like a lot of times you have to step out of your comfort zone, you have to step out of that box, and you have to create a foundation within your major, because I feel like that's one thing I didn't have. And I have it now being in the program because that is essential. But freshman year, it definitely would have been more beneficial to have a group to say, okay guys, let's sit here and let's study. It makes you focus more. It taps you in a little bit more with school because there's a lot of distractions when it comes to college. So I would definitely say that that's also a great one too.
Nice. Can I tease out something that you said? It was very early on, and then I heard the theme all throughout what you just talked about, no matter the subject area, and it was, you said something, I need the phrasing again because it was perfect. It was like, show them your face or let them see your face. And was that your mom that said that?
That was my mom.
Was it let them see your face? What's the phrase?
They have to, okay, I think it was just mainly like, show them your face. Let them know who you are, because you're basically in a big class, you're a name within a huge list. You need to let them know, okay, when I went into chemistry, because chemistry is a class that is known to be hard, I let her know, I am Laurie Norwood. I'm going to be in your class after your class, to be sitting right there, and I'm going to ask you every single question I can think of, and you're going to see that I'm putting in 100% effort. And just like, I need that, because I need to know if I get whatever grade I get, I know I did everything I needed to do. This professor sees that I did everything I need to do, and she's able to work with me because she's been the person that's been helping me. So she knows, okay, Laurie, you may have did this. So it's just, professors are number one in assistance within your major, just in general.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is that life lesson doesn't stop here, right?
Right.
So that is absolutely what needs to be carried on through your professional career and how you handle life.
Just life, and dude, Brittany dropping some life knowledge on you. I think that's what, I love that you talked about these things, and that's why we're so happy you're here to talk to everybody out in Facebook and YouTube land, because that is college in a nutshell. You're given this environment. It's a very special environment. Nothing really compares to the four-year college environment, to set aside this time of life, to dedicate to this foundational upper level knowledge and experiences, and then working with experts and people that have dedicated their lives to their discipline. And the things that you just said all involve showing them your face. And if it's the professor, if it's the SI, if it's your advisor, right? And then Brittany brought it full circle, like for the rest of life, you know, even when you 95 and you in a nursing home, you go show them your face so you get your Jello.
That's right.
At the end of the day, like, somebody forgot my Jello, you know, sorry, I don't know why I went there. But I like Jello, and I'm probably going to end up in a nursing home one day. But all that being said, you said something that I think that we have to get students to realize, and it's professors shouldn't be scary. It's take that step. I always call it the Nike, like just do it. That's, but I like to show them your face. Like I'm totally gonna borrow that from you. I'll trademark it. Tal, the amazing Laurie. But it was. I think it's so poignant because our students need to know this. Whether you're coming in as a first year student, whether you're coming in as a transfer student, or you've been here and you've been here for a couple years. I need that reminder, right? I mean, every day I need that reminder. There's definitely people in my life that I'm like, oh, I don't know that I want to talk to that person, because they're like big time person, but I should. And I think that was awesome what you said. And I hope people out there feel encouraged, and that parents are probably sitting there going, see, I told you. I've been telling you. And now you listen to Laurie and she's right. But that's how it goes.
If they're anything like my dad, he's like, don't waste your money. You pay a lot of money for these courses, right? You pay a lot of money, to sit in these classrooms. You pay a lot of money for these resources. Use them, utilize them every step of the way.
Out there.
Well said, well said. How about some other resources maybe that you've had while being a student, or even some other fun things you've been involved in, like anything you want to talk about in being involved as a student that's helped you build community here at the university?
I feel like my biggest foundation was being on the track team. I feel like that was a big asset for me because a lot of students, when they come to college, because I think only 3 people that I know came from my school. So a lot of times when you're coming from a school that, you don't have a lot of friends that are transferring there, or they might not be close friends, you kind of feel a disconnect and you feel kind of like to yourself, like you're missing something. And I think that was a big asset for me because I was able to kind of forcibly, even though it took me a while, I had to forcibly put myself out there with my teammates, and I had to develop that friendship. And no matter if it's teammates or just anyone, your roommate, it could be anyone, just kind of, like I was saying, in classes, like you have to put yourself out there. And I think that was the biggest thing that I struggle with, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with. Sometimes you have to, get out there, talk to people, ask them questions. And the crazy thing, and I think that's what I learned in this program, people have the same questions as you, or they have the same thoughts as you. They just don't say anything. They're doing what they're doing what you're doing, and they're not saying anything. And then when they say it, it's just like, oh my God, I was thinking the same thing. You'll be in the same class, and you'll be trying to figure out the same thing, and you'll be sitting right by each other looking confused, and you just think you probably I don't know, you're incompetent. Exactly.
No,
but in reality, everybody is in that same boat. Outside of that, I can definitely say, before I joined SG, I'm just start at the beginning. I can definitely say a lot of assets outside of WellStar was like, our writing center? Our writing center is essential. So when you're doing those like general classes like English, when you're doing sociology, if you're getting into nursing, or if you're doing anything math, you just have to learn how to get out there and just, if you, like even academic advisors, find your resources, because like they said, you're paying for all this stuff. You don't want to not utilize what you have. You never want to not be successful because of that. I feel like I kind of learned with that because like you'll go into the writing center, they'll look over your paper and literally critique you. And I feel like that's the biggest thing, because having friends help you to a certain extent can only help you so much. Because let's be honest, if we're in the same grade, we probably know the same amount of information. I need someone who is actually an expert at this. And they even have the math and science, tutoring?
Smart Center?
Yeah, the Smart Center. The Smart Center is really essential. I definitely went there for my chemistry. I went there for my regular math classes. Like I said, college it's like a big moment where you get to explore things. And you only get to explore when you put yourself out there. And when you put yourself out there, so many resources begin to, come apparent. And it's just like you have to be willing to do that in order to kind of be successful in a sense. It's still possible, but I'm just saying like it just definitely gives you more resources and what you can use to be successful. Outside of that, let me think.
I'm going to jump in if you don't mind and just say that, I know you said we're amazing in everything as advisors, but we're not mind readers. So it's so important to understand that, you have to put yourself out there a little bit, because as soon as we know that you are either struggling in an area or maybe that we have a resource that could just help you out in any facet, then we're going to give it to you. I would say right now, the most common resource that we've been sharing with a lot of students, particularly with our majors, are student disability services and also counseling and psychological services. A lot of times students don't think that. They think, well, I'm sure everybody, is having a hard time, or they brush it under the rug. But the reality of it is, if you're not okay, let someone know so that we can help, and that these are trained professionals who are absolutely willing to help. With student disability services, one of my students, she actually left me a voicemail the other day, and she was just sharing with me that she was so thankful that she told me that she struggles with testing anxiety, and to the point where it's really debilitating for her. And that's something, if she hadn't shared, I wouldn't have been able to give her that information so that she could have particular accommodations. So those are things that impact your grades. That may be a differentiating factor on whether or not she gets into the nursing program, right? Because she's able to now have the resources she needs to be successful in the class. So
I can piggyback off that, just like a personal moment. So I've actually attended, I think it was either the depression or anxiety. Yes. It's helpful. And a lot of times, I think that's the biggest thing about college. You don't know the resources that you have. And there's so many people out there that are willing to help you. And it's a lot of times the instructors, obviously, when they're, I guess when I went to the workshop, because I'm pretty sure it was a workshop. They're always so uplifting, and it's amazing to be around people like that, because when you're in a dump or whatever it may be, sometimes you have to surround yourself around people that uplift you. So going to those are essential, and I can definitely say don't ever feel ashamed, because you're not the only one. I wasn't the only one that was in that workshop. It was a lot of other college students. And we all go through different things, whether it be academic, whether it be personal. It could be anything. And I definitely have a friend who had test anxiety. And the craziest thing, she felt like she couldn't talk to her professor about it. She felt like this was something that it was just her problem. No, I told her, go talk to the professor. And the craziest thing, she felt like she tested better with headphones in. The professor said, okay, well, I'm gonna watch you take your test and you can go ahead and put your headphones in. It's accommodations, but you don't get that if you don't speak up. And it's really I've literally seen a lot of this unfold with a lot of teammates, a lot of friends. So it's crazy seeing what you're saying, and it happens but it's just all about getting, out of your comfort zone, I'd definitely say.
Gotcha. Let's talk about the future for a minute, Laurie. I mean, I'd love to know Brittany's future, but you're really the one in the hot seat.
Yes.
So yeah, Brittany's gonna turn it over to you. You mentioned being a neonatal nurse in the future, working the NICU. Where do you hope that that's going to be? Do you want to stay local? Do you want to go far away? Do you want to work? We talked earlier. Do you want to work in Hawaii? What's next, and where do you hope to be?
Honestly, my biggest dream, and it's so small because it's not that, I just wanted to go to Atlanta. It was something about being in the city.
Yeah.
I'm just so basic for that, but I want to.
No, this is the ATL. Look. You should hear me talk. I say silly things. So I talk about being an OG Atlantan because we came pre-Olympics, so that's a long time ago. Yeah.
That's so crazy, and I'm from Decatur, and it's not that far from Atlanta. That's what I'm saying. I really want to live in Atlanta for no.
I thought you were from here.
Yeah,
I'm from Decatur.
It's great.
But for some reason, because a lot of and I think it's also, I think I'm gonna get out of that mindset because I'm considering being a traveling nurse. But it's just when you're in a family that doesn't really all of my family is here. I've been being in a nursing program. I've been around a lot of students where I think one of my friends is from Peru, and I'm just his family's just everywhere, and I'm just well, yeah, we're in Decatur and Stone Mountain maybe, but we're pretty much in Decatur. Yeah. So that's pretty much, and you're kind of conditioned to stuff when you're within a family. And my mom and my family, we don't really travel a lot, so I think that's a lot of what comes into play as far as my decision. But I definitely am considering becoming a travel nurse possibly. But I know my biggest thing was just I definitely want to be in the city, whether it be New York. I was considering that at one point. But I don't really know. But I feel like this is the moment when the moment comes, I have to step out of my comfort zone because I really don't like being anywhere where I don't know people. And I think that's why I'm me being within SGA has really forced me. And I think that's the thing that I need. Being in these organizations, which was another thing I was gonna say, being in organizations are essential. I didn't even realize until now. I've never been in a single organization outside of sports ever. You know, and I was never really pushed to, you know, it was always like, you know, sports was enough and it took up so much time. But it's just like I feel like that's just the biggest thing. I just have to learn that, you know, what I'm used to is not all that is out there. So I just have to learn that I can go elsewhere. I can do amazing things. So I would definitely, I'm considering traveling nurse / you know, working in a city. So any city. So that's that's my biggest thing. Any city, at least, and not just say Atlanta. But yeah, I definitely I want to live a luxury life with a condo and all that great stuff.
Cool. Okay.
Look, hopefully.
Well, I think we have some questions from Facebook and YouTube, so let's take some of those questions right now.
Awesome. So we kind of have like a 2-for-1. Is there a wait list for the nursing program, and is there a limit to how many times you can apply?
There is no limit to how many times that you can apply, so yay, awesome there. And not necessarily a wait list, no, not right now. Eventually, maybe we will get to that point, but you can reapply, and we usually will suggest for students to do that if they find out that they haven't gotten accepted that first time around.
And which semesters particularly are you admitting students for nursing?
Every fall and every spring.
Perfect.
And so the deadlines will never change. So the ones that you see on the website for the fall is going to always be January 31st. For the spring, it will always be June 27th.
Cool. Kiani.
Yes. So can you talk about the beautiful facilities that are available to exercise science and nursing students?
Oh my goodness, where do we want to start? Well, Perelman Hall is where the vast majority of our exercise science and our nursing students will be studying. And there's everything from simulation labs. If you guys have an opportunity, you know, once COVID dies down a little bit, to just come and tour the campus. Perelman Hall has everything from the strength and conditioning labs to exercise phys labs. And you get to see all of this amazing equipment that you're using for the testing class, prescription classes. So I would suggest coming, peeping your head in to see all of these things, because you'll really get a gist of why our students are so prepared when they're finished with their degree programs. Absolutely. We've spent a lot of money within the WellStar College, and we're spending even more to grow our nursing program. I'm pretty sure most parents are probably well aware of the grant that we just received, and so the goal within the next 5 years is to double in size. And so that means less no's, which is wonderful. So hence not really hopefully needing the waiting list at all.
Right. And we played the really cool video announcing the gift from WellStar before your session, which was awesome.
Nice.
And then also a little plug. So if you want to go out there, if you go to our virtual tour, it's brand new. The virtual tour came out during COVID time. So what a great time. We were already in the works. What a great time to launch it. So if you go to visit.kennesaw.edu, you can click on the virtual tour. You can actually click on WellStar section, see all inside Perelman, get the real inside look. So check that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Any other questions?
So even with how labor intensive nursing can be,
No pun
is
intended.
there any
Sorry, sorry, that's non-nurse joke.
Is there any research going on with the nursing students?
Oh, absolutely. From the clinical side, as well as like the students are doing research within their classes. So a lot of the assignments are geared specifically towards that.
Kiani.
Awesome. So this can be for both of you, lovely ladies. What advice would you give to first-year students aspiring to pursue a nursing degree?
That's a good one.
About nursing.
That's a good one.
I'll let you go first.
I would definitely say use your resources that we talked about before. That's probably the most essential thing. And you have to have a sense of self-discipline. Like, I feel like that is the main thing that is lacked when coming to college. You get to college, you have this freedom, and I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's amazing. But at the same time, it's even more amazing when you get an A on each, as many exams as you can, because that heightens your chance when that time comes, and I promise you. So I would definitely say being able to have fun in college, but at the same time, know when it's time to sit down and do what you need to do so that you don't waste money and you get where you want to get in a timely manner.
Yes, balance is definitely key. You want to make sure that you're placing the vast majority of your focus, yes, on doing well in your classes, but also that you do have that social life, because how else can you build a community, right? And a lot of these relationships that you'll build on this side, they will last for years to come. So it doesn't just stop here in college. You'll continue with those in your professional, life after. If I had to give two things, I would say one, meet with your academic advisor to make sure that you are on track, because there's so many students who they have self-advised and it's just gone all wayward, and so we want to make sure that you are on track and progressing well, but also pace yourself. Please, please, please do not overwhelm yourself, because you get one shot at these classes, maybe a second one, depending upon the situation, but you want to make sure that, if you have a lot going on, if you're working, you don't want to take 18 hours. You want to make sure that maybe you take 12 hours or maybe you take 9 hours to make sure that we're getting those A's as opposed to getting B's or C's, because you know that it's competitive. So just pace yourself, and we'll help along the way.
Well said. Well, ladies, we are at the end of our time. Y'all have been fun. I know, it goes by like that. It's so wild. Y'all have been phenomenal. And the amazing Laurie, thank you so much for joining with the amazing Brittany and myself.
The amazing Jordan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Little reminder for everybody out there. You've watched this WellStar session. It's been incredible. Hopefully it's impactful to you. You now have a better path forward. Whether you're applying for nursing, coming for exercise science, doing a cool integrative health degree program, whatever it may be. But make sure you're filling out the raffle giveaway. So go on there and fill it out. Don't miss out your opportunity. The more you enter during a session, the more likely you are to win, right? That's statistics. And I just got an A back on my statistics midterm. Boop, boop. So there you go. I work real hard for that. Okay. Tomorrow, last day of virtual open house. We want to see you back here tomorrow. Heavy hitting day. We're going to have campus services and housing up first. We're going to have an awesome session on career planning and development and university research. And to round them all out, we're going to hear from student affairs and our dean of students. So it's going to be a fantastic Friday. May even have a special guest appearance. I'm not going to tell you who's going to come on, some sort of celebrity. So I'll just leave it at that, okay? We always end with allies and a hootie hoo. Brittany knows what's up, but Laurie, you're going to have to do it with us. So make those allies and end with a hootie hoo. Y'all have a great night. Thanks a lot. Hootie hoo.